Hello, grade 8 students. In this video, we're going to start with our new chapter about digestion. This video will be an introduction for digestion, and we are talking about the types of food. First, you have to know the different types of food. We will talk about organic food, and also we will talk about the inorganic food and the types of these two. The food that we eat is classified into two categories. The first category, number one, is called the organic, and number two is called the inorganic food. Organic food consists of three groups. Group number one is called carbohydrates, or known as the carbs. Group two, the lipids. Group three, proteins. The first type of organic food, as we said, is called the carbohydrates, also known as the carbs. They are like the sugars, like starch, the fibers that are found in the fruits, grains, vegetables, and milk products. All of them they are classified as carbohydrates or the carb. Carbs they are known to provide the body with energy. Also, some types of carbs is the banana is a good source of carbs which gives energy. Sugars. In the sugars we have the disaccharides. The word di means two. So disaccharides meaning that two sugars they are directly connected together. So disaccharide example about them sucrose, maltose, and lactose. We're going to talk about these in detail: sucrose, maltose, and lactose. Those we have the monosaccharides. Monosaccharides, mono it means one, so one sugar. While disaccharides, two sugars they are connected to each other. Example about the monosaccharides: glucose, galactose, and fructose. Monosaccharides, as I said, they are simple sugars. So the simple sugars, they are directly absorbed by the body cells. They are simple and they are absorbed directly. While the disaccharides, they are two sugars. They are not simple, so are broken down. So they are going to be broken down into the body into simple sugars. For example, sucrose is broken down into glucose plus fructose, while maltose it's glucose and glucose, so two glucose molecules. Lactose it's glucose and galactose. As you see here, glucose is the common between them. So sucrose it's glucose with fructose, maltose it's glucose with another glucose, while lactose it's glucose plus galactose. So the carbohydrates, the simplest form is called the monosaccharides. So the simplest form is called monosaccharides. The intermediate is called the disaccharide, while the complex will have the name of polysaccharides. So we're going to talk about this. This is called the complex form of carbohydrates. This is the complex form. So lactose, as we said, it's glucose with galactose. Mainly it's the milk sugar. It's glucose plus galactose connected together. This is disaccharide. Sucrose, also known to be the table sugar that we use it at home, is called sucrose. Sucrose is composed of glucose and fructose, 50% for each of them. While maltose is composed of glucose plus glucose. So two glucose molecules they are joined together, they give what's known by maltose. So upon digestion, maltose will be digested to give glucose and glucose, two glucose molecules. Starch It's produced by the green plants during photosynthesis, and you know that starch, it is identified by the test, which is the iodine test, where it gives dark blue color. Starch is an example about the polysaccharide. They are long chain of sugars, so long chain of glucose molecules, so many glucose molecules, they connected to each other, they give what's known by the starch. And this is the starch chain. It's glucose molecules, they are connected to each other, so this is called the starch. Mainly, starch is found in food like the corn, like potato, like the wheat. So this is a good source of starch. So till now, we identified the three different forms of the carbohydrates. The first form, which is the complex form, is the polysaccharide. It's a long chain, while smaller chain is called the disaccharide, as we said, two sugars connected together. While if we have only one sugar, it's called monosaccharide. So monosaccharide is the simplest form. Intermediate form is called the disaccharide, and the complex one is called the polysaccharide, like this case. Also, we have fibers. Fibers, they are referred to as cellulose. They are found in plants. These cellulose is also a polysaccharide. So the human body cannot digest it, but it has a role in acceleration of the digestion process. It helps in the digestion process and makes the digestion faster. Lipids are types of organic food. Example about lipids, we have, for example, the fats, we have oils, waxes, some types of vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. Lipids, they are a good source of energy, even though they said that the lipids, the same amount of lipids and carbohydrates, if we have, let's say, 5 gram of lipids and we have 5 gram of carbs, both of them they give energy, but the amount that is provided by the lipids is double than that provided by the carbs, because they are very good source of energy. Lipids, this is a form of, this is type of food is called lipids. It's formed of a chain of fatty acids and glycerol. So fatty acid and glycerol, they give the constituent of the lipids. So lipids, it has only complex form, which is the lipid, and it has no intermediate, but it has the simplest form, which is fatty acid and glycerol. Foods high in fat like the fatty meat and fish, avocado, nuts and seed, chocolate, butter, and some type of cheese. Moving now to proteins. Proteins, they are made of long chains of amino acid. This is the chain of the protein. This is the protein. Protein is composed of long chain of amino acid. Every one of these is called an amino acid. So the simplest form is called the amino acid. Whereas the intermediate is a chain of amino acid, but it's less than 52. It's called polypeptide. While the long chain is called the protein, which is the complex form. So they are found in meat, fish, chicken, dairy products, eggs, beans, and others. They are very important in the process of the growth, and also they have a role in repairing the damaged tissues. Now let's move for inorganic food. Inorganic food, they consist of water and mineral salts only. So water and mineral salts, they form the inorganic food. So food is divided either into organic or inorganic. Organic composed of carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, while the inorganic is composed of water and mineral salts. So this slide summarizes the different categories of the organic food, their different forms, complex, intermediate, and the simplest form. Carbohydrates, you have to know that we have the complex forms called polysaccharides, simple chains of sugars, like the case of starch, like the case of cellulose in plants, and we have glycogen in animals. Intermediate form, they are made up of two simple sugars. They are connected and bonded together. Like for example, maltose, it's glucose and glucose. And you have to study this. You have to know that lactose, it's found in milk, it's glucose and galactose. And you have to know that sucrose, it's glucose and fructose, meaning they are found in fruits. The simplest form is called the monosaccharides. So first, we identify the complex form is the polysaccharide. The intermediate is called the di. So di, I said it's two. So disaccharides, two sugars connected and bonded together. Monosaccharide, only one unit like glucose, fructose, and galactose. Proteins, as I said, we have complex form. It's called protein. It's a chain of more than 52 amino acids. Intermediate is called the polypeptide, as I said before. It's a chain that's less than 52 amino acids. So less than 52, it's called polypeptide. More than 52, it's called the complex form. It's called the proteins. While the simplest form, it's called amino acid. It's only one unit. So less than 52 amino acid, it gives polypeptide. More than, it gives protein. Lipids, as I said, they are very energetic. Same quantity of lipids has double the amount of energy than that of the carbohydrates. So they don't have intermediate form. They have only complex like the lipids or fats, and they have the simplest form, which is fatty acid and glycerol. Okay? Study this table. This is very important to study it. You have to know the complex, intermediate, and simplest form of these categories of carbohydrates, of proteins, and of lipids. It's not necessary to study that they are natural sources of sugar, fast sources of energy, contain CH and O. This is not necessary to study it. And also these plastic food for protein growth contains CH, O, N, and ACE. It's okay. You don't have to study about others. You have to know what is polysaccharide, what is the disaccharide, and what is the simplest form, which is called the monosaccharide. You have to know that maltose, it's glucose and glucose. You have to know that lactose is glucose and galactose. And you have to know that sucrose, it's glucose plus fructose. Okay? So you have to study these notes. Bye bye. Thank you.